Yes, my people, welcome back to Vinny's Voice. I'm your host, Savine, and I'm fortunately joined today by the blueprint himself, Poseidon, Poseidon's
Let's go.
Workshop. How are you today, my brother?
Doing great, bro. Always blessed. Happy to be here and happy to be on Vinny's Voice.
Thank you very much. So we just had Misfits 21 about
Yeah.
about a week ago, I would say, from now.
hmm
So I'd like to hear, as a fan myself and to another fan, your thoughts of, I'll say, the overall card in general before we go into any specifics.
For sure. Yeah. No. Overall, there was a lot of talk about whether Misfits was falling off or what was good with influencer boxing. But after that last card, I would say momentum is definitely back on their side. It was a great card overall. A lot of great fights. Obviously, Foxa G did his thing against Waleed. Chased him more. Respect to him. He got knocked down, but then TKO'd his opponent. And then, of course, Darren Till, the gorilla. He's, proven to be a big player, a big part of Misfits, and probably like their next pay-per-view star. So overall, fantastic card, and looking forward to seeing what Misfits does during the second half of this year.
That's good to hear. So speaking about that Fox the G versus Waleed fight, obviously Fox being initially a fan of influencer boxing and now, having a decent fight career, having praises from Vidal such as, the kid could go pro by 22, 23. Does that put in more belief for, like, say, content creators such as yourself coming up that Misfits is a very achievable and possible goal?
Yeah, most definitely. Yeah, like you just said, Foxa G was, he's young too, but he was creating content, surrounding Misfits, surrounding influencer boxing, and slowly worked his way into the scene, started commentating, started fighting. And yeah, that's a great example to for a lot of other people like myself who are doing similar things. I go by the blueprint, and that's kind of in the same sense of wanting to show people that, hey, you can start from being a small creator and you can still work your way onto a big stage like Misfits. So shout out to Foxa G. He's crushed it. But I'd like to follow suit and be a similar example to a lot of people looking to get onto Misfits. It's not easy. Misfits is I feel like it's a double-edged sword. I feel like maybe it's possible. And I don't want to say it's impossible, but you really want to need it, and you really want to want it, right? I really want it, and I feel like a lot of people can tell that from the content I make. But it's a double-edged sword because Misfits is prestigious. You can't just be anybody and think you're gonna get on Misfits. You really gotta work for it, and that's what Fox did, and that's what I want to do. And as long as you have that mindset, it's possible.
Exactly, bro. That's very inspiring. So I'd like to ask you a question. So when did you first start getting into influencer boxing? Was it the creation of Misfits, or was it before, like, the KSI Joe Weller, or even before that, the Theo Baker Joe Weller? When was your sort of initial?
For
interest?
sure, yeah, definitely. So I mean, I've always been, into YouTube. Whenever people ask me, like, yo, what do you do, like, for entertainment? I'm never the type of guy to watch TV, movies. I'm the worst with movies. I'm not a movie person. I would always, watch YouTube growing up. And so, of course, the inception, Theo Baker, Joe Weller, I was there watching that. KSI, Logan Paul, massive. This is what, birthed it all. But when I first fully stepped into the scene was probably around like that Temper KSI era. That's when I really started, like, seeing, okay, there's some real momentum here. Like, there's some real potential here with Misfits, especially. And so I started, creating content surrounding influencer boxing. I started, like, with a reaction video of, like, the top 20 knockouts at the time in influencer boxing, and slowly started actually putting the gloves on, and moving around and working out and having a coach. And, it's been a long journey since then. I'm almost 2 years into, content creating around, well, really just, yeah, content around, boxing. I've only started creating content in general on YouTube, 2 and change years. So I'm still like a baby in this content creation game. But it's quickly adapting, quickly learning and growing the audience too. So, you know, yeah, it's definitely that phase temper KSI era when I started creating content, and now I feel like I'm one of like the top dogs in terms of quality content. So it's been a cool ride, and I have a long way to go. So
Yeah, so yeah, I wanted to touch on your quality content. I mean, from in my opinion, within like I'll say the sort of niche, sort of misfits, sort of cause, no one creates content like you. I'm just gonna say it up there. Like,
I appreciate that.
so what sort of like inspired you to create those sort of like documentary style? Were you always had like this passion for filmmaking, or like what was it?
Yeah, so I'm blessed with my team. I'm nothing without my team. I have a great coach who's, allowed me to win 2 fights. One was like a little smoker event, but obviously the last one was Creator Fight League, which we can touch into a little later if you want. But I also have a great videographer and great editor, right? Who I went to college with at Penn State. Shout out Penn State, and we met there, and he studied film, so I'm very, lucky in the sense that I have a great team, and he was the one who really is able to tell a story. Of course, there's a collaborative effort when it comes to making our videos, and I'm, the face of it. But just like Mr. Beast, is the face of his channel, but he has a great editing team that kind of tells the story for him. So I'm blessed to have my videographer, editor, Cantu Film. Nothing without him. But yeah, it's just, we have a vision in mind, and he kind of brings it to life, right? We're at this together, and I'm also just grateful for the people I've met along the way, like Lil Cray Cray. Obviously, he's the current lightweight champion of Misfits, and we linked up right before he got onto Misfits at all. And we've been filming with him ever since, and we're a team together. So being able to kind of tell his story while still telling my own story, has been a blessing. And it just shows that I'm meant to be here, right? He's the Misfits champion. He's the current champ, a belt around his waist, and I'm right beside him in the ring. I was in Qatar, shout out Qatar, in the middle of a pay-per-view event, holding up his flag, like in the ring with him. So this whole journey is just like, it just shows me that I'm ready for like those big moments, being in the middle of a ring in Qatar, across the world, bro. I grew up in a little town in New Jersey. I don't belong there, right? But I got there because I do belong there, So just things like that really just motivates me to keep going. And the content tells the story, and hopefully it touches people. And the comments on my videos are really special because they'll say like, these deserve more views, and higher quality than the zone. And comments like those really just make my day and help me keep going, because at this point I do feel like I should be getting more views, but again, the views are going up anyway. So I'm just patient, and I know I'm working on God's timing. So when it's my time to shine, I'll be there. I'll be ready.
No, honestly, man, you definitely do deserve more views with the quality content you made. I'm surprised IFN has not clipped up your content, because they've been clipping up other people's content. But I'm like, bro, Poseidon should be
IFN,
I think
I don't know what it is with IFN. Well, really the whole scene, right? Like if you look at Twitter, I'm not everyone's biggest fan, right? Like people don't love showing love to me, which is fine. I built my character, and I'm doing what I'm doing. But once you get to know me and really talk to me, you'll see that there's a genuine part of me. I just don't think a lot of people on Twitter understand that, which I can understand with the character that I play, the Blueprint. But yeah, they clip it up sometimes. But really, my YouTube channel is like a vault of just gems. It's they're slacking by not clipping it up, but that's why I can clip it up myself and it still gets views. So it's all good. Yeah.
So I wanted to speak about Qatar. When I interviewed Yadi, I spoke to him about Qatar, and he said
Yeah.
it was quite a surreal experience for him. For
Hmm.
yourself, obviously just being a fan, but then actually going to a quite a big Misfits pay-per-view event, seeing the likes of, Gib, Danny, KSI, all the big names there. And most of all, being in a World Cup stadium where Messi and Ronaldo played in for an event.
Crazy.
How was that Qatar experience overall? And was that like a turning point within your sort of content creation, Misfits boxing career, sort of?
Yeah,
Yeah.
for sure. Yeah, definitely a turning point, because that's a massive investment on my own end, financially, and even my time, but of course, financially, flying out to Qatar, I wasn't, flown out. It was my own expenses, and, I wouldn't take it back for the world. I would do it again, so definitely a turning point. It allowed for crazy content. I still have, 2 more videos in the vault from that trip. It'll be a vlog coming out actually, hopefully next week, of me and Cray Cray and even Amir Anderson, like in the desert riding camels, like just a crazy cool vlog with crazy visuals. And also we have a crazy documentary for Cray Cray, because we've been with Cray Cray since the inception of his journey, right? So we've been with him literally physically in Nashville for his debut with the bomb threat. We were in Houston where he unfortunately, lost to Yachty the first time. But then he got redemption, and then we were in Qatar for their trilogy. So we're gonna be creating a full video, detailing his literally his journey in Misfits. So Qatar, amazing experience. In terms of like the actual environment and just the people, and it was great. The people were fantastic. I've never felt more safe. The food was amazing. The architecture was beautiful. Everything about the trip was fantastic. And again, if they go again, I'm there in a heartbeat. So yeah, definitely a beautiful place to visit. But yeah, for sure.
Um, Obviously moving away from Qatar, I'd like to talk about your own sort of boxing career. You had a fight on CFL. When you
Yeah.
first managed to get that opportunity, describe to me your emotion and the feeling that you could finally get to box and finally showcase your skills to the world.
Yeah, no, it was exciting, right? Like this was what I've been working towards like the whole time. I was training behind the scenes, with my coach, day in, day out, late nights, early mornings. So definitely was working very hard for it. I ended up seeing Anthony Taylor in Qatar, and we spoke about it. He said that was locked in for his next card. That happened to be, this past January. And then I get, a text, an actual call from him, a few weeks later, kind of solidifying an opponent. And I was, buzzing. The opponent I had, initially, he was, all I'll say about my first opponent is that I would have, cleaned him out within the first round for sure. But of course he pulled out. He couldn't take the heat. And so they found me another opponent. And this opponent was, 2-0 with 1 KO. Steven, his name was. He was, training with Alex Wassabi and Dad, like the character Dad. That's like his training team. And yeah, we went out there in Nashville and got the dub. It was, and we created a movie around it. So I was able to finally highlight my own, journey, which that's my favorite video on my channel by far. And yeah, it was amazing. It was surreal. I had a lot going on during that fight camp. I had lost my grandmother the weekend before I went out to fight. So even going out to fight was tough. Like there was a lot of emotions going through my mind, and I kind of had to conceal them and just bring it home for her. So it was a lot. It was probably everything that I needed, and I say that obviously it sounds crazy to say that, but at the same time, just fighting for her and on her behalf, I know that she was up there looking and proud of it. So, yeah, crazy experience. And, a lot of emotions came out after the win. And I think, doing it in front of Mams Taylor on a big stage, everyone was there watching. I had Ben Davis commentating. It was a movie, and I called out for Mams. The welterweight division is lacking, and I'm here waiting for my call for Misfits or Brand Risk. Hey, I'm down for whichever platform. I'm open to both, and yeah, I think we'll get those fights soon. But yeah, first fight, a dub. Couldn't have been happier.
Oh yeah, good to hear, and a very very inspiring story from yourself. So I'd like to talk about obviously you being from America and Misfits being obviously a UK based company. Do you do you see like the shifts between the UK fan base and the US fan base, especially in the audiences? Because when I see like when Misfits have shows in the UK, the arenas are pretty much almost full, but whenever Misfits have a US card, I can see like in the highlights or when I'm watching the show that the arena seems sort of empty. So as being an American yourself, what do you think Misfits needs to do in order to break that sort of American market or be more sort of, I'd say, desirable to an American viewer?
Yeah, definitely. Maybe I know obviously KSI is the face of Misfits. Maybe it's him coming to the States and showing out here. Obviously, I know Logan Paul is much dedicated to WWE. Prime Card was a massive success. If there was ever a world where they can bring Logan Paul back for just like something like even an Andrew Tate type of fight, that could be a huge USA event. The Dylan Dennis's of the world where like he's able to promote bringing him onto Misfits and helping sell out some tickets, like the Bryce Hall, Taylor Holders, like just these. You gotta get massive USA names and put them in reasonably sized venues and they'll sell out. When you have a USA event in Houston, which I attended, with Elle Brooke versus I think it was a Tennessee Gangster. I think it was Jenny Savage that she fought, right?
I think
no,
the Houston one. I think it was Paige Van Zandt.
Yeah. Paige is a big name, but you're having a UK girl as your main event. It's going to be difficult to sell tickets. I know she's a massive name. No shade to Elle Brooke, but there's just some things that you got to tweak on the marketing side. So yeah, just bringing on massive names like the Ashton Halls, the Bryce Halls, like. These big names, like they'll get you going. Like a Bradley Martin, like they just gotta convince these bigger guys to box. Simple as that, and you'll get crowds for that for sure. Like Aiden Ross will be a good example. He's U.S. based. Granted, he just does it out of his warehouse for now, but apparently his next show in June will be in Nashville at a venue. So I guess he'll be a great example if. US could sell tickets, so definitely we'll see what's in store for US events.
Yeah, exactly. Like I think like card placement or where you put individuals on the card is quite important.
Definitely.
Yeah, because I literally just thought back because you did mention Elle Brooke and Jenny Savage, but I don't know if you also remember the George Stokey and Lewis Bowden fight. I remember when I was watching the event, the stadium was packed, right? The stadium was pretty packed. But then after the event, I saw clips of literally like, the fans like went out with Lewis to the pub after the win. So like by the time it got to the main event, it actually was that stadium was a bit empty. I would say same with even the most recent event, like Ty obviously being a hometown boy in Derby, all the fans were there for him. But once his fight was finished, what do you call it? Like a good amount of the arena left, and when it was the main event, unfortunately, there were less.
I'm surprised by that one too, because Darren Till's a massive name. I wouldn't think that more people would be there for Ty Mitchell. Again, I know it's his hometown, but yeah, I'm surprised that people left. That's crazy to me. But yeah, I guess it comes down to card placement and who goes where. Maybe they should have kept Ty Mitchell as main event in that case, because he was originally supposed to be the main event. So just some small things that I'm sure Mams and Misfits and DAZN are actively working on.
Exactly. I think for like UK, like the hometown pride is just, I think, on another level, because obviously Lewis and Ty, they're not really like content creators, but Lewis being from Newcastle, the show being in Newcastle, the new card, the Geordies showed up for him. Same with Ty being from Derby, the people from Derby
Right.
managed to show up for him. So I think that's actually really cool to see. So like, let's just say, for example, a US sort of hometown, let's say, Houston, or I don't know, like Denver,
Las
Colorado,
Vegas,
or
like
wherever,
Miami, wherever. Yeah.
Yeah, I think it shows like the power of that sort of like hometown advantage. And I think if Misfits uses that in America, maybe for like a smaller card, if they can't get, a Logan Paul or Bryce Hall as of
Right.
yet, especially for the non-pay-per-view cards, it could definitely help with sort of, I'll say, in-arena attendance. Because obviously on the zone they do splendid numbers, but yeah, that in-arena, that you can't be that in-arena atmosphere.
For real, yeah. Even like on my fight in Nashville, like it was pretty packed out. Like it was a lot of people, in that crowd, and it's again, it's just a good feeling to know that when the moment comes for me to shine on a bigger stage, I'll be ready, because I walked into my fight and was not nervous at all, and not at least not in terms of like the crowd and like who's watching. Even Mams being there, like that did not faze me one bit. I went out there, I trained my ass off, I knew exactly what I was gonna do in that fight, and I did what I did. I think, if the gloves were a little lighter and I was a little heavier on the night, I would have put him down and taken him out. We learn, I'm happy that now people can watch that footage. My next opponent can watch that footage, and I will be a completely different fighter. So they can watch it, study it. It doesn't matter what they do with that footage of me. It's not going to matter when I fight them next. So, yeah. And I mean, hey, I'll even tease a little bit something. Like, apparently my opponent, Steven, he was in a training camp with Alex Wassabi. Yeah. Alex Wassabi apparently is on video saying that he'd be down to fight me. So I'm waiting for that footage to drop, because if Alex Wassabi wants to, get back for his boy, then I'll be happy to step in with Alex Wassabi, no problem. I think me and Alex would be a great fight. I think Alex is the type of guy who would put clout and numbers aside and have a scrap. I'm an up and coming creator, YouTuber. I think I'll be one of the biggest YouTubers within like the next year or two. Just give me some time, and I think me and Alex would be a great scrap for sure.
Yeah, that actually does sound like a really, really, really good fight. So I like to talk about sort of your goals. So I'll first start off your goals, right, for the rest of this year. Obviously, still a good amount of time. Would you say Misfits, appearance on Misfits is still a possibility by the end of this year for yourself?
I would like to believe it is. I would like to believe that brand risk is a possibility. I think brand risk might be even a bigger possibility. Again, whatever phone call comes, I'm ready for it. Misfits is the ultimate long-term goal. I can envision myself being a champion at one point. I'm willing to put in the work for that to make that happen. Misfits, brand risk. I would love to fight at least one more time this year. Ideally on one of those two promotions. Goals in terms of content, I have a lot. Obviously I film a lot with Cray Cray. And we have like a specific style of video where like we work out and I interview him. That's kind of like my style, where, it's like a Hot Ones, like Hot Ones where they eat hot chicken wings. Yeah. I bring on people to my channel, I put them through a workout and I ask them questions, and it's just a different environment. So I'd love to have a lot of other creators. I'll tease that I might, be doing a similar style video with one Bryce Hall, hopefully soon. That one's in the works. I got the Slims in the works. Dylan Dennis, I'd love to have him on the channel. Taylor Holder, he was, ringside watching me fight in Nashville. I got his number. We connected. So, definitely want to just have more videos like that, as well as just keep documenting my life and my journey up. I'd love to, stay in Cray Cray's corner, keep watching him win, and keep, filming movies around that as well. And again, just hopefully be able to film another movie about my own next fight. So lots of content in store. I'm doing a lot more short form content. Obviously, short form content is king. Streaming, I work a full-time job and I, boxing. So the streaming, I'll get to that at one point. That is a goal of mine to stream at one point. But when, the ball starts moving and the snowball gets bigger, that's when I'll probably pick up that streaming camera. But for now, just short form, long form content, Twitter. Just, you're gonna keep seeing my name. That's the goal for 2025.
Good to hear. Good to hear. Excited for what you can do in the future. Now, before we wrap up this interview, this is the question I ask all the guests that show up to the channel.
Let's do it.
What is the best quote or piece of advice you've ever heard or someone has given you so far in your life?
Damn. Oh man, that's a good one on the spot. Okay.
Oh yeah. Sorry, I put you on the spot there. Yeah.
Oh man. That's a good one. Damn. I gotta think. Hold up. There's one. Ah man, I don't know. There's no specific quote that comes to mind because I don't have a bank like that in my head.
Yeah.
If I wasn't asked on spot, I would. But just keep going, bro. Like it really is simple as that. I mean, it's either day one or one day. Which one are you gonna pick? I pick day one. I pick put your head down and start working today. Because life is too short, bro. It feels long. It feels real long, but reality is like it's not that long, and you only get one that we know of. So you gotta really just take what you got and give it all that you have. So my advice to people is just if you have a goal, chase it. I have a goal of being a champion or even just one of the biggest creators to do it. I have a vision for it. I know exactly what I need to do to kind of attain it, and I'm gonna go for it. And yeah, my message is if you have that, it could be you want to be the best chef, you want to be in the NBA, you want to be the best at whatever it is, start working towards it, put some time, find the time, and make it happen. So yeah, just make it happen, and you'll be good. But you gotta really want it. I really want this. And you gotta want it more than the next guy and the next guy, because people are coming to take your spot. And if you don't work hard, you will get passed. You'll get left in the dust. It's 1 out of 100 out here, and you have to be the one. You just have to be. So when you don't feel like doing it, do it, and just keep going relentlessly. You gotta want it. So that's my message to the people. If you want something, go and get it.
Wow, truly inspiring words. So anyways, thank you so much for your time, Poseidon. Wishing you all the best in your current and future endeavors, and I'll see you maybe in the future someday.
100%. And everybody that's watching this video, if you made it to the end, make sure you subscribe to Vinny's Voice right now. Let's go.
All right, thank you, man. Appreciate it. Then that's it, ladies and gentlemen. Another interview in the books. Thank you so much to Poseidon for his time. Genuinely appreciate it. And please like, share, and subscribe. And I'll see you when you're older. Don't go changing. Bye-bye.